country where we grow, live, and do our best. A small country, maybe, but with big achievements.
We believe that the country has the potential to live up to the requirements.
2, 1, boost ignition, and liftoff. We go to Moldova. 230.
Fast development. Great wines. And big chances to become better.
Millions of Ukrainians have fled the war and sought refuge in nations to the west.
Crossing the border to safety.
A small country, a big heart. Moldova's most important resource is people. We are committed to make our country a better place for all of us. We have to continue working with dedication. Because great countries are founded by great people. A small country, a big heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining the Moldova Investment Outlook session. We're really glad to have you all here. Moldova may be a small country, but for EBRD, it's huge. Over the last 2 years, we have invested over 1 billion euros in the country. Considering the size of the population, this is really an achievement to absorb this amount of financing. And we look forward to doing more. And of course, we really welcome the decision of the European Commission to start accession negotiations with Moldova, and this frames everything we do in the country. I would like to kick off this Investment Outlook session by quoting the Governor of the National Bank of Moldova, who recently said, "Those who do not invest in Moldova today will regret it in 10 years' time." So we're going to discuss how this can be done in practice during our panel. Now, I would like to start by inviting Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Economic Development and Digitalization, Dumitru Alaiba, to do a keynote address to the audience.
Thank you very much, Katarina. Dear friends, dear colleagues, it's really great to be here. First of all, thank you for finding the time, and thank you for, I see only a small part of the room is Moldovan, the rest is foreign, so this is a good sign. But really, it's my pleasure to be here. It's my pleasure to represent, together with our partners from the private sector, from the business, to represent Moldova and to tell you why Moldova is really something to keep watching. First of all, if there is one thing that I would like you to remember is that it's really, from this hour, is that it's really a country that can change fast, really fast. And I will tell you just a few examples. Only 15 years ago, this is one of my favorite ones, only 15 years ago, Moldova was trading massively with Russia CIS. 70% of our trade was directed at Russia CIS. Only 15 years later, and this is a very short time for a country, our trade mainly is with the EU and the West. 65% of our trade is with the European Union. Add to that EFTA, add to that United Kingdom and the United States, Canada. It's way over 70% of our trade going towards totally different country. This is what it means in reality, is that it's a massive shift, it's a massive transformation for each and every entrepreneur, for each and every country who had to reinvent themselves, had to see for other opportunities. Only 5 years ago, Moldova was a country slipping into authoritarianism, into a quasi-dictatorship, and it has taken only 5 years for us to transform into one of the most emergent democracies in the region. We are number 33 in the Reporters Without Borders World Press Index worldwide. This makes us really very much in line with the, the civilized Western countries that we are tending to, and this is only one of the examples. What I want you to really remember is that it's a country that can embrace change, that can embrace opportunity, and that can really provide for a good business as well, because the governor of the Central Bank of Moldova is absolutely right. What we are seeing is the beginning of an age in Moldova of high growth, and you don't need to guess only. We can only look together at the countries that have been in the same place 20 years ago or so. I'm speaking about the countries that are now for 20 years members of the European Union. This is the point where we are now, a few years before the accession and a couple of years after the accession. Every country, the Baltics, Poland, Czechia, Slovakia, and many others, they have seen this accelerated growth that we are embarking on now. So it's really a good time to invest now, and in 10 years you can easily triple the money by investing in Moldova. And the European integration is not the only reason, because it is true that we are now a candidate country and the future EU member state. I am saying that without even being shy, because I know that we are going to move as fast as we can to achieve this goal. The internal reform agenda, the reforms that we are undertaking in the different fields that are crucial for unlocking high growth, is another reason why Moldova is important, is an interesting destination for the investments. And here with me I have representatives of one of the most digitalized banks in the region, without being too shy, and the biggest bank in Moldova. Here with me we have the biggest IT company in Southeastern Europe that is coming from Moldova, and it's a very good asset on the New York Stock Exchange, and they will speak about the IT prospects. And we have the telecom, one of the emerging telecom operators in Moldova that are now ramifying all the way into the Central Asia from Moldova. And these are only a few stories that can be told about how you can grow in Moldova in only a decade. The reforms that we are undertaking in the business climate, by only in 1 year we have deregulated and we have removed barriers to doing business worth at least 0.5% of GDP. We continue to do that in the year 24. We have digitalized over half of the public services for entrepreneurs and citizens, just to give you an example, and it's another example of how fast we can move when we want to. In June last year, we had 38% of public services for entrepreneurs digitalized. Less than a year later, we have already 60% of the public services digital. By the end of the year, we're targeting 75%, and we're going at all 100%. The way I like to say it is that we're going to be just like Estonia, but with better weather, which is not so difficult. And many other unlocks and reforms that we are undertaking right now. We're looking at capital markets in order to accelerate the flow of capital into Moldova. We're looking at diverse sectors like industry, like the IT, where we can speak in more detail, exactly in order to achieve this high growth and to maximize the growth potential that we have right now, because we really need to catch up. We need to converge to the EU levels, not only in terms of democracy, not only in terms of legislation and rule of law, but also in terms of living standards. And this is really what we want to deliver to our citizens. Of course, this in spite of the war in neighboring Ukraine, because it has been and it is, first of all, besides the tragic and the criminal way in which it was started, and it still rages on for over 2 years, it has affected the region economically. We are undertaking these reforms exactly in order to make a difference while mitigating the consequences of the war. We are at the same time contributing to supporting Ukraine right now by taking active part in the solidarity lanes, by offering our basically infrastructure for the flow of goods from and to Ukraine. And we are also destined to play a part in the Ukraine recovery and reconstruction, given the proximity of Moldova to the most destroyed areas of Ukraine, which in itself will and is basically an opportunity for the private sector. So this being said, I would also like to encourage you to scan these QR codes behind me in order to see more details. And enough of the hearing politicians. My job is to tell you that everything is nice, but we would like you to also hear the experiences and the stories of the private sector that are here with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Prime Minister. I would like to ask Diana Jablonska, who is Head of Unit, EU DG NEAR, responsible for Moldova and Georgia and the Economic Investment Plan, to give a welcoming address as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very intimidated, so I'm very sorry if my voice will be shaking, but I'm speaking after Deputy Prime Minister, who already pictured the developments in Moldova. And I have to say I represent the European Commission, but I'm very proud that I can work with and for the country with a big heart, as you have heard. Indeed, Moldova now is on the path to the enlargement, candidate country right now, with progressing very strongly with the reforms as were just pictured by the Deputy Prime Minister. And that's, of course, very important because it brings reforms which are impacting the whole country, but also the business climate, and also what you are going to discuss today in the panel related to the digital services that we're supposed to discuss. I will try to zoom into this sector as an introduction because we have very short time, so cannot discuss all possible reforms. And indeed, we hope that we can discuss today how to invest and how to support in Moldova this strategic sector. I'm pretty sure that will be presented further, how important it is. We also, to facilitate this kind of discussions, we are engaged with Deputy Prime Minister, his services and the government to develop a Moldova growth plan together, which would help us to identify priorities not only in the digital sector, but all sectors that are supposed to support and help investments. And in the digital world, we definitely are discussing, which is supposed to be the priorities, but we think we have a few that we can already think about it. First is, of course, infrastructure. And when we talk about infrastructure, of course, there is also a more broader ideas and strategic investments that the European Commission wants to be engaged with. For example, the digital cable through the Black Sea, which we hope also will be an important enabler for Moldova to go even further in the investments related to the digital infrastructure. Of course, we would like that this infrastructure is very secured, cyber-secured, 5G toolbox, very important as well. And we here want to work with the EBRD Bank, of course, and of course with all our other partners. For example, we have a guarantee platform, digital transformation platform, that we hope we can activate to support this kind of investments. So we have tools as well, not only ideas, and I think this is important because it's the tools that are supposed to mobilize us all, and therefore may also plea to work further all together to support the country with a big heart. Of course, skills is another extremely important aspect. We see it across the region that when investing in digital IT services, digital sector of the economy, skills are key. And of course, Moldova is already making a lot of efforts to have an IT specialist. We are happy also to work further in this relation. Actually, we are hosted by, we are in Armenia. Here are also nice examples. Some of you, I think, saw the Tumo Center, maybe also something to think about. Next, of course, that brings me to businesses. We have a lot of tools also with EBRD to support access to finance. We are signing new partial portfolio guarantees, and we hope that we can do more on the digital sector. And I would, of course, I would also refer to what the Deputy Prime Minister said about the digital services and the e-government. This is also an important part that we would be happy to support. Actually, Moldova is already doing a lot related to so-called digital wallet, and we are trying to support the alignment with what the EU is trying to develop, to have a EU identity wallet, helping us to store our documents and make some of the signatures securely through such a wallet. So we are working on this. Of course, a lot of these investments require regulatory alignments, and here enlargement process is also coming in, which should not be only seen as a procedural issues, but also as an enabler. And we're looking forward to work forward. We already have good examples, which I think the Moldovan citizens can see, like the roaming. We have the first steps with voluntary agreements signed with our European telecom companies, which I think is also important to mention. So a lot of things are happening already, so it's time to jump to the boat and work together. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for this encouragement, Diana. Now I would like to call the panel for today's session. Deputy Prime Minister Aliva, please. We also have Vyacheslav Panfil, who works for Endava, who is the country manager for Endava for Moldova. Endava was founded in Chisinau in year 2000, and in 2018 it was floated on the New York Stock Exchange. This is quite a remarkable development, so we're really pleased to have you here today. Next, Natalia Bejan, who heads Invest Moldova Agency, which is the one-stop shop for investors seeking more information and support when looking at the country. We're very pleased to have you here, Natalia. Yes. Carolina Bugayan, who heads Moldcell, a telecom and financial services company in Chisinau. Thank you. And last but not least, Georgi Shagidze, who is the CEO of MAIB, Moldova's largest bank. Please, Georgi. Now, thank you very, very much for joining. Oops, I think we need to turn this off. I would like to start by asking Deputy Prime Minister Aliva to give us, to set us off with a couple of comments on the EU accession negotiations. How are they going?
Thank you so much. As I referred to in my introductory speech, it's very intense. Of course, we need to keep in mind that the time is short and there is no time to waste. But at the same time, what we're seeing is, first of all, an opportunity to transform sector by sector each and every aspect of the life of our people. So we see the European integration, first of all, as an internal agenda to reset and to change the people's life. Of course, there are a lot of processes, and it's a permanent conversation. But what we're doing is we do our homework and we come back to Brussels and say we want more, because really the way we see things is that we should not wait and we should not waste the time. So it's a lot of work, but we're keeping up, and we have really a lot of support in terms of technical assistance, in terms of financial support from our friends and partners.
Thank you very much. It's indeed really intense, and it's a very ambitious agenda, and I'm very pleased to see that all international organizations are coming to Moldova and start supporting and do wider and bigger and more deep projects. It's really encouraging to see. Now, let me turn to you, Georgi. As the head of Moldova's largest commercial bank, how do you view this path, and what is the impact on the banking sector?
Well, thanks for the question. I think this is once in a century or once in a lifetime opportunity for Moldova to become have the potential to become member of European Union. I mean, we've spoken on many advantages, but then maybe predictable environment, access to largest banking, the cost of funding or cost of capital, impact various subsidies or helps or infrastructure projects that we are seeing from the EU is critical, and we'd like to thank the government and everyone contributing into these reforms and into making its possibility. I'm Georgian myself, similarly in Georgia, there is no other way for Moldova than to become a member of European Union for the long-term success and prosperity. From the perspective of the banking sector specifically, of course, this means that we will be dealing with the wealthier customers. We will be in a better, predictable environment. Overall, Moldovan banking sector is very strong, and we all love to repeat the quote from the Governor Drago, who said that we need to invest in Moldova. Moldova now, we have very strong capital, we have very strong liquidity, and we have penetration which is still low, creating very good growth, healthy growth opportunity for the banking sector.
Thank you very much, Georgi. Carolina, let me turn to you. Moldcell is a front runner in terms of EU approximation. And you quite recently launched 5G due to the EU-based technology neutrality. Tell us more about the telecom sector as an enabler.
Thank you very much, Katarina, for this question. Indeed, I mean, we should always never forget that telecom is indeed a critical infrastructure. It is about connectivity. And connectivity is about knowledge, it is about access, it is about democracy, it is about free mind, and of course, a basis for digitalization and enabling the economy, but also a free society. And actually, in Moldova, we have been indeed a front runner in terms of digital documents, and mobile ID has been implemented even back in 2012, and we were the 8th country on the globe that had this technology enabled. Also, it was borrowed from Estonia at that time, but we have really well implemented it. Also, another point to be mentioned that before signing the DCFTA, we have already started our alignment for legislation, and back then we have adopted this technological neutrality in Moldova, which allowed the use of frequencies in an efficient way, and this is how Moldova has already reached the stage that we have penetration in telecom of 168%, and the data LTE penetration is 80%. And based on the frequencies that we have and the 3G sunset and 21 and 26 gigahertz frequencies, we were able to launch our 5G now end of April for our anniversary in 5 locations, and we are really proud that we have done it with our Ericsson partner. And we said, because there have been discussions for a long time about is Moldova ready for 5G? We said we need to show that Moldova can, and we have demonstrated that we could reach 1 gigabit per second speed. And this is an enabler. It is an enabler for critical infrastructure, mission-critical infrastructure, like security services. And now we are talking about Moldova also being supporting for Ukraine reconstruction and a logistic hub, a totally digitalized logistic hub. It is about education. It is about much more access to broadband, and definitely we would need to develop further digital skills, but I will talk a bit later about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carolina. Then I would like to return to Georgi. How has this process impacted your sector, the banking sector?
Yes, digitalization is key clearly in the banking sector in the world, and for us it's been very helpful to basically establish the mobile bank, which we recently got the award to be named as the best Central and Eastern European digital bank by EMEA Finance, which is quite an achievement. By the way, the services that we are providing to our customers in Moldova, using the infrastructure, both the government infrastructure and the connectivity that we were just listening, they give us possibility to provide the unique services. We do have, for example, face identification and verification function, which basically we take the picture of the person, we go to the public registry, pull out the picture of that person from the passport, and then we match, and assuming that the picture matches, we basically process the transaction. This is possible because of the digital infrastructure in the country. And the competition is quite tough, and the other banks are offering quite competitive digital services. So I would say in the digital space, Moldova is much ahead than any other product in banking in the country that we have right now.
Thank you very much. To build a bit on the digitalization agenda, Vyacheslav, Moldova's IT sector has shown remarkable growth over the past years, and Endava's experience is really interesting. So please tell us about it.
Indeed, thank you. So Endava started or was founded in 2000 in Moldova, and in 2018 was the first Moldovan company with the Moldovan roots listed to New York Stock Exchange. Now we deliver we have delivery centers in more than 25 countries, and everything started in Chișinău, and we are proud of this. We have more than 1,000 people working for Endava in Moldova. And I can tell a lot of stories about this, but coming back to the country and the way of doing business, we started in 2000, and at that moment in Moldova we had around a dozen of IT companies. Nowadays we have more than 1,700 companies, IT companies in Moldova. So we grow as the market grows. There are a few factors that help us grow as a company and as a market. First of all, we have good communities, good collaboration with the top universities in Moldova. We have good connection with most of the capitals in Europe, the capitals where our clients are coming. So you can take a flight, and in 2 or 3 hours you'll be with your client, and you'll have your workshop. And the cultural proximity with the European countries also help us have a good engagement with our clients. And the last but not the least is the taxation regime, or the preferential taxation for the IT sector, where you pay 7% flat tax, and that's it. So this way you can have competitive price, and same time you can have good salaries for your employees.
Thank you very much. This is really a truly inspiring story. Deputy Prime Minister, we hear about Endava's fantastic growth and fantastic journey over the years. Can you tell us a bit about upcoming reforms to boost the tech sector?
Thank you so much. Indeed, Endava is a success story, but it's only one of them. We really strongly believe in the power of innovation and in the innovative spirit of our people. And IT is where it materializes easy, which is why, first of all, the industry has been seeing steady, robust growth over a couple of decades almost. So 6, 7, 8% growth year on year. Now the IT sector is over 6% of GDP, and it keeps growing. Second of all, it's a place where you can really innovate, and we believe what is happening, what is starting to happen right now, is that IT is really spilling over into other fields, because the beauty of digitalization is when IT goes into energy, into transport, into finance, into education, into healthcare, and this is what's happening right now in Moldova, and that is why we, first of all, continued to expand the IT park regime, this 7% flat tax rate until 2035. Second of all, given the need of the industry to grow and given the demand of our companies for skilled labor, the truth is Moldova is a small country with a small population. So in order to give our IT companies, first of all IT, but also other companies in the country, access to talent and possibility to recruit and hire and to employ talent hassle-free, we have, in the beginning of this year, we have removed effectively work permits for citizens of 47 countries, including EU, EFTA countries, but also Western Balkans, Ukraine, South Caucasus, and others, in order to allow Moldovan companies to employ people from this big chunk of land without any bureaucracy, without waiting time, because you don't need to wait for 3, 5, 6 months until you get a stupid stamp in your residence permit, and then you can be employed by a Moldovan employer. This should not be happening if you want the sector to grow. And of course, the big winner here is IT, but not only. So that's just a few of the interventions that we did.
It's a fantastic pragmatic approach, which really yields results. It's amazing to see. Now, I would like to talk about the green economy. And I would like to turn to Natalia. And we have upcoming renewable energy tenders in Moldova and a number of other interesting sectors coming up. Please, tell us more.
Hello, Katarina, and thank you for the question. Concerning energy sector, I think it's no news to the region and generally to the global market that energy security is one of the absolutely hot topics. And not only energy security, which for us has been and still is a quite important question because we are still relying on importing energy, both electricity and gas, but also on ensuring that energy is clean. So in 2023, we had only 6% of our energy used in Moldova being from renewable resources. And the plan of the government is to reach 30% by 2030. So that's one of the main results that we are going towards. And as you mentioned, there are actually 2 sets of very important tenders upcoming from the Ministry of Energy. They are the ones organizing it. We are looking to bring to the economy 165 megawatts of clean energy, 105 from power, from wind power, and 60 from the solar photovoltaic. And we'll be looking forward for companies to apply. And one of the very important, again, results that we are looking for is to bring up the competition of the pricing, because right now the pricing, the tariffs are being set because there is basically no competition on the market. So we are looking forward to basically open the market. And not least important is that the tender documentation, the tender procedure is already fully aligned to the European Union requirements. So even though we are just in the process of accession, European Union integration from some perspective is already fully happening. And I would still mention one more thing, which I think is very progressive in Moldova. Now we have the law on energy sandboxes, which is being reviewed, and we are hoping it to be approved in the next month or 2, which will basically allow any stakeholders, any companies that want to produce clean energy, but they want to test it, and they don't want to go through the difficult authorization certifications processes, especially when you want to come up with something which doesn't exist and you want to basically innovate and be progressive. Our government, our country will provide the possibility for any company, and we actually would like to become a hub of the region in this perspective, to basically use Moldova as a sandbox to test, to certify later, and then basically to bring the innovation from there.
That is very, very, very good news. Thank you very much for this information. Natalia, if I can keep you for a bit, and I would like to ask you about other areas where you see a great investment potential for foreign companies. When we were preparing for this session, you mentioned the logistics. Tell us more.
Historically, there's been said about Moldova, and we don't like saying that much. We are changing the narrative right now, but it has been said that Moldova is at a crossroad in between West and East. The reality is that logistically and from infrastructure perspective, this is a reality. We are at an intersection, and historically, we know that usually commerce markets were enabled exactly at those crossroads. So investments into the infrastructure and logistics is a huge and one of the most important topics right now on the table. And here we're speaking not only from the perspective of the roads. We have at least 4 billion euros needs of investments and commitment from the government to invest into the railway sector in the next 5 years. We also have a port that also needs additional investments. And another important perspective of investments of infrastructure and logistics is, this has been mentioned actually a bit by my colleagues, is the proximity to Ukraine and the need for us. It's actually a need. It's not only opportunity, but it's also a need to make sure that when the reconstruction of Ukraine is starting, we have the resources that will be needed to be supplied. If we will not do that homework, we might run into the problem of not having enough resources ourselves, and then what happens then is that the prices are going up. And luckily, we already have companies that are looking at Moldova, not only looking, we have exact examples, companies from, for example, China or Asia in general that are looking at Moldova and establishing their businesses in Moldova because of the proximity to the European Union, to this part of the market. And we also have investors in the construction materials side, in the batteries, energy batteries, storage of the energy, that are developing their projects now in Moldova, looking not only at Moldova as the investment itself, but as Ukraine as one of the markets that they are preparing their investments and products for.
Thank you. You are actually assuming the slogan of Armenia, small nation, global approach or something. So it's very good that you're talking about this here. Now, let me turn to Vyacheslav. I would like to talk about human capital, about talent. What's the talent pool? How do you find the qualified staff in Moldova, considering the relative small size of the country and the huge needs of the market?
First of all, we have a good collaboration with the universities. We do provide them courses. We do invite the students for the internship program. We run twice a year the internship program, and the best of them, they got a job offer for Endava. And we also, together with the universities, work with the schools, with the young people, so they choose the IT as the path to start their career. A few years ago, we had a challenge when people just left the country because of the political situation. Now we have people staying in the country because they have a chance to work for the to deliver for the top brands in Europe or all around the world, but staying with his family, her family in the country. And again, given the taxation we have, we managed to increase the salary of the people, so they now feel better working from Moldova, having the salary in Moldova, and travel all around the world, including Europe, where you don't need a visa. So they feel secure in Moldova. This way, we grow the number of senior people with the experience, together with the new starters, with the students, with young people. We build experienced teams, and this is the way we manage to keep our talent in the country.
Thank you very much. Now, speaking about talent, Carolina, Moldova is a country of many talents in many fields. In addition to your own sector that you're obviously very well in tune with, which other sectors would you see as prosperous sectors going forward?
Well, definitely, yes. I think Moldova, and it's not only my view, the biggest asset of Moldova are its people that are very creative, resilient, are very adaptable, flexible, in really transforming, so and very much loyal to the cause and passionate about their country and what they do. And definitely we also have a very good approach and communication between the business environment and the government. And here we have also our representative of Economic Council under the Prime Minister and European Business Association, AmCham, and we are really working as a team to really move Moldova closer to EU and be part of that. Where we see big opportunities still for Moldova, as Georgi has mentioned, still we have space for financial inclusion, for digital inclusion of elderly, because population is getting older. Women economic empowerment is also a big area where we can benefit more economically and really drive the growth in Moldova. And the creative industries. And here is another area where we really work together with the government, with the universities, donor community like Swedish Embassy and USAID. And we have many centers like TUMO we have seen here in Armenia. We have a creative art core for creative industry. We have media core for media industries and movie. We have TechWheel where we are developing digital skills. This month will be open the only in the region women empowerment economic hub, impact hub. So there are a lot of centers that are really focusing on developing the talents of the people and creating new professions and new future-proof professions that would enable people to stay in Moldova and live a very empowered life.
Thank you very much. And speaking about creative areas, you were all given a little pin when you walked in. This is a so-called Marty Shore. It's a Moldovan spring symbol. We're a little bit late in the spring, but anyway, it's spring for Moldova's economy, so we thought it was a very, very good symbol for this session. Now, before I turn over to the audience and see if there are any questions, if any of the panelists would like to say anything else? Any other statements?
Well, maybe it's one of the last panels of the event, and the room is full, so
it's amazing.
There is a good interest for Moldova.
It's excellent. I'm very impressed. So, dear audience, what can we tell you which we have not already said? No, let's see. How do we do this? There's a microphone.
Hi, everyone. Diana Sarumova, European Business Association in Armenia, sister organization of EBA Moldova. You know everyone, Mariana Rupa, who is doing excellent job in Moldova, as we know. I would like to ask, in the scope of EU integration, how active is business community and private sector is involved in the whole process of EU integration now, and what would you suggest? Maybe you can be also a kind of a benchmark for us as well in the future, just to share your experience and some insights. Thank you.
First someone from you, and then I'll say.
Yeah. Actually, we are very much, as I mentioned, we are very much involved as a business community in all of the reforms, and now the process of screening of legislation will be coming, and we are very committed to provide our experts that are really involved and supporting the government, because it is a common cause. It is not, EU integration is not a task of the government only. So we all as a business community and the society are very much involved into this process.
Maybe from our side, I think two components. One is just being exemplary in the governance, in how we treat people and how we execute things in the bank. And this is something that we always seek the best practice. And this is important, especially when you are shown and then businesses look to you. So that's one. And then the second one is various programs that we are implementing and the products. EU is helping through various loans, which sometimes comes with subsidies. So our role there is to ensure that we rightly deploy it, we rightly explain its benefit to the population, and we ensure that these people, when they take this loan, get real benefit. So I would say these two areas.
Just a few words as well. It's important to know that EU integration is not some internal process of the government, and it's not some working group inside the ministry or inside another ministry. It's a nationwide process of transformation, and that means that it's very important to have it together with the main stakeholders, those who are going to be affected by the changes that we are promoting, that is business. They have to be at the table, they have to have their say, and we can do it together. And that is what actually makes the process more irreversible, because governments change, but big business tends to be much more stable than governments that change every 4 years. So having them on board and having them engaged is a guarantee in itself for the direction. At the same time, it's important to be on the same side, to understand that we are on the same side of this objective, because it's not something that you push onto the society. It's not something you push onto the business. It's something in the common interest. And just, as Carolina was speaking, one example came to mind with the roaming, where, you have this dilemma of, okay, this is good for the country, it's good for each and every citizen of Moldova, but this is a cost for the industry, and it's a political will of the government to deliver. So how do you do it if not sit down at the same table? I mean, correct me if I'm lying, I don't think I am. Sit down at the same table and find ways to please everyone, and this is, I'm happy to see this is exactly what we did. We have delivered for our citizens. We have had a record time, and the industry has shown maximum flexibility in adjusting, because while in the EU the companies, the operators were given 5-6 years to adjust, we had 6 months, and we have also, while discussing, identified ways in which we can support the industry and we can help them save money and not bear additional costs from the other side, so everybody wins. And this is what we want to do with each and every reform that we're undertaking, with the banking, with the IT, with everything that is going to come to Moldova, because again, the EU integration in itself is a process of transforming a country to the better, and that means each and every industry is going to be affected, but it's also, there is a way to guarantee that it's for the benefit of each and every actor in the process.
Thank you very much. Levon?
Thank you. Levon Hanekian, Victoria Bank. Actually, I have one question, or actually 2 questions related. First to Mr. Alaiba. We speak about investment climate and attracting investment. Could you please provide us some details if Moldova will ever come back to capital markets and have Eurobonds issues, or what are the plans with the country rating? And a similar question for the private sector to Georgi. Maybe you provide us some details on your intentions of listing at Bucharest Stock Exchange. That will be a good example after Endava's listing, and a good message to the investors community. Thank you.
Thank you, Levon. This is one of the, I would say, short to medium term wins that we can really accomplish. By isolating itself de facto from capital markets, Moldova is losing growth and losing opportunities year after year. It's costing us additional couple of percentage of GDP because we do not have an alternative to, sorry, Georgi, to bank loan. I mean, in Moldova, a small entrepreneur that wants to finance its business does not have an alternative, and this is costing us opportunities. We have to operationalize. I mean, first of all, we have to update the legislation. Second of all, we are looking at the infrastructure, like the stock exchange, that needs to be much more up to date with the systems than it is in Moldova. And of course, we're looking at Eurobonds issuing. That is, again, yet another out of multiple advantages of being on that market. It's yet another long-term stability guarantee for Moldova. It's like an embassy that if we look at 10, 15 years from now, we don't know how the governments will look. But by being on the market, it's in itself a guarantee of the predictability of each and every government that will follow in the years to come. So the capital markets and integrating into the European capital markets is actually one of the measures that we are looking at while discussing, for example, on the growth plan. It's things like this, it's unlocks like this that can and should contribute to accelerating the economic growth for Moldova in the years to come. So definitely an issue that we are looking at carefully.
Yeah, from my side, thanks a lot, Levan, for a very good question. You feel double home, right, being from Yerevan and Moldova. So on the capital market, I think we are very much aligned, and I think in the nearest future we will see tangible actions with the largest stock exchange in the region, and we all are very happy that it is happening, and then we just spoke about it. I don't think I can disclose, but I think in the nearest future this will be a reality, which will start opening for Moldovan companies access to other instruments as well. And by the way, we understand that the countries that have capital markets, advanced capital markets, have more advanced banking sector. So we don't consider capital market as the competitor for the banking. So on the one hand, the stock exchange in Moldova, which is seeking the bigger partner, and the news is upcoming, will be helpful from the capital market. With regards to our specific IPO, we want the law to be changed, and there is active discussion about the change in the law. As soon as the law is changed, we have aligned or mobilized or generated huge interest from the international most reputable, most experienced asset managers, which we all will love to see in Moldova, and we remain committed to this track.
Seva Kovanesyan, partner at Civita, a management consulting company headquartered in Estonia. I want to ask a question regarding digitalization. A few weeks ago, I was in Moldova and we were discussing uptake of government online services in Eastern Partnership countries, and Mr. Deputy Prime Minister also delivered a welcoming speech there. So welcome to Armenia. So our studies show that not only the critical infrastructure, not only the offering of services, online services, is important for usage of these services, but also the digital literacy, the trust issues among population, among businesses is important critical factors hindering the full uptake of digital services. So I would like to hear if you had any specific programs and plans to work with both private sector and public, together with public sector, to increase the digital literacy and support this uptake of online services in Estonia, in Moldova.
Thank you very much. Easy mistake to make, I know.
A good one.
I have another number for you just to illustrate that it's fertile soil for digitalization, and that's that 7 out of 10 requests for public services where the digital format is available are in digital form. So 7 out of 10 people already prefer, which implies trust, the digital format. as opposed to the traditional one going to all these corridors and counters and seeing grumpy civil servants that probably be back in 15 minutes and so on, and come back on a Friday at 2 o'clock exactly. Otherwise, you miss your spot. So this is, this is what we're fighting with. This is what we're changing now. Of course, we need to keep investing, and Estonia's example is exactly this: that after you've already set the right track on digitalization, after you've reached 100%, the permanent investment in trust between the user and the service and the service provider, which is the government, is never-ending process, and so is the digital inclusion. Yes, we still have a lot of people to still include. What we're doing is, of course, we're right now encouraging champions of this change, and well, it's pretty much like first you build a highway, then you see the cars coming in. It's exactly here the case, but of course very much aware of the trust issue. At the same time, digitalization in itself is a great opportunity to build the trust between the government and the citizen by providing highest quality of service when it comes to registration, birth certificates, marriage, and so on and so on. And in any country, the government is the biggest service provider. And exactly when you go to a bank and expect the highest level of service, when you go to a telecom operator and you expect highest level of quality service, it's exactly the standard that we should aim when it's a government. The government needs to provide the customer, which is the citizen, with highest quality of service, and this is digitalization.
And if I may also add, we as a private sector are also involved together with the Ministry of Social Protection and Labor, and together with such organizations like UNFPA in promoting digital skills among elderly. And we have a national program for active aging, where we as a private partner, together with volunteers, are teaching digital skills the elderly, and it is called digital skills through intergenerational dialogue. And actually we have been awarded many awards at the international level in Geneva, in Rome, for this particular project, because it is easy and it solves two problems. It is digital inclusion, and it solves the problem of loneliness of older people and creating this connection with the young generation.
I think we are a bit in overtime, but I hope we have time for one more question. So.
Thank you very much. My name is Sanvel Movsisyan. I'm founder of Leadership School. Thank you, Katarina. We are missing you in our region, and we always remember your support in Armenia and Georgia. And my question is to our government and business representatives, especially what are the main challenges and needs for startups and businesses in Moldova. And the second part is I have a suggestion that maybe we can work together with the government and private sector to invite startups from Moldova to Armenia and Georgia, and to have such exchange programs. And we'll be very happy to talk about this in the end. Thank you.
If I may answer this, thank you very much for the question. Before my current job, I was actually working in the startups world, and then from the startups, I kind of went to the investments attraction for any company, regardless of the type of size and when they are, like how technological or not. Moldova, what has happened in the last, let's say, 10 years, especially in the IT sector, we have seen the steady growth, absolutely year by year steady growth, and development of the number of the people who have IT skills. What we have started seeing in the last 2 or 3 years is that those people who have been working for quite many years in the outsourcing have started thinking about enabling their own products, because this is what a startup at the end of the day is when you own a product, you don't just deliver a service. What we need now in Moldova is access to capital. For sure, we need a venture fund, the first venture fund in Moldova. We still don't have one. But in the last few years, what has been developing is the business angel communities. At this point, we have 2 of them. Majority of our startups, when they are ready for the larger investments, they are going usually for Estonia. Again, I don't know a coincidence or not, but they are also registering in Estonia. So actually, if you are a good startup with a good idea, with a good team, you can completely work in Moldova, be in Moldova, and attract international funding while being in your home. One of the largest investments in startups that has been raised, unfortunately don't have a unicorn yet, but everyone is now in the community is fighting for this title, who is going to be the first one. Still, it is the opportunity to be the first unicorn in Moldova is there, and the largest investment so far is of $13 million, which is not small money at all, especially because, again, these are people who have an idea, they worked on it. It's a small team, they are about 40 people, and yet they managed to do this, and majority of that funding is coming from US. Otherwise, it's really, really diversified. But I would say like that's one of the market or industries or verticals where we will see very nice surprises upcoming, because those are slightly crazy people, but in the nicest way possible, that just trust that their idea will be like one day is going to be the best. And by the way, we have, again, a joke in the community that they are not fighting to be the first one, because they are saying that it's going to be the easiest then to be the second one, because once we're going to have the first unicorn, everyone is going to turn around and going to say like, oh, Moldova has a unicorn, so that then the optimism for the market is going to be there. So being the second or the third might be much easier than being the first one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm really sad to close such an inspiring discussion. So I would like to invite everyone to eat the chocolates outside, because we brought some delicious Moldovan chocolates. So maybe we can just continue the discussion in a more informal format just outside this venue. And one more thing, not to reveal any secrets in advance, I really hope that you will all come to the Digital Awards, where there should be some really good news for Moldova as well. Thank you so much.